Cobra Kai fans, welcome back to the channel. Here is the breakdown for the final trailer of Cobra Kai Season 6 and the series. This Part 3 trailer is awesome and has given us a glimpse at prior seasons, really throws it back, but also a new glimpse of Part 3 as we were expecting more footage, but this really is retrospect of all the events that have preceded Cobra Kai Season 6. So I'm really looking forward to breaking this down for you guys. Hit the subscribe button for more content here on Cobra Kai Nation. So we're going to start from the first moment we get more footage, because we don't get anything too exclusive from these throwbacks, but we do get characters that we hadn't seen in a while on this promo, which is great. So that could be teasing out the characters returning again, and just some massive moments from the show. First official new footage of Part 3, we get a glimpse at the All Valley Sports Arena. This is new footage. As you can see, some of the Sekai Takai competitors and senseis are in the background wearing their uniforms, and that's obviously showing the move to the valley with the Sekai Takai resuming, as we've seen in previous footage in other trailers that it is resuming here. We see the Sekai Takai banner being hanged up in the All Valley Sports Arena, followed by what seems to be a hallucination or Tori dreaming about the Sekai Takai resuming, and we see some elements of Barcelona and Kwon in the background. This is probably something before her fight with Sam, still yet to be decided on who will face Zara in the final of the Sekai Takai. A flashback of the All Valley tournament from 1984 with the iconic red mat, and it transitions to the All Valley Sports Arena in Part 3, with Daryl returning as the announcer as the All Valley board return, and we get a glimpse that everyone is back in the valley, but the tournament is going to resume in the valley. I have to say, it looks so awesome when you see the iconic red mat with the classic All Valley logo returning, and they teased that all the way back in Season 1, and Daryl really wanted to have red mats back, and it was very interesting to see that return. And you can see all the participants, or at least many of the participants from the Sekai Takai, the Mexican dojos there. You can also see Furia de Pantera, and there's other dojos. A lot of them are just captains that are just there to spectate the finals, but of course they have to have other dojos stay and be present for the finals. We can clearly see this is supposed to be the original place where the 1984 All Valley took place, and I think they're bringing it back here where it all started. Amanda says she knows how bad things got in Barcelona, that a kid died in reference to Kwon's death, and we see footage of Kreese and Kim Da-eun with the Korean Cobra Kais paying tribute and cremating the body of Kwon Jae-sung. You can see his gi and his headband are on top of the coffin as Kreese and Kim Da-eun bow. Of course, this is going to be a huge blow for the Korean Cobra Kais, but they must still be in the tournament as Tori is in the Sekai Takai, because if she's only there on her own, then there's clearly no chance she can win the whole thing, because she does need them to participate with her. Or at least, who is going to replace Kwon? Well, we're going to find that out, as Kreese and Kim will have to figure that out. But does Master Kim want them to continue, or does Tori and Kreese decide to still compete but disregard the Korean Cobra Kais? On the other side, we see that Sam doesn't even know what she's fighting for, which could be a reference to Season 3 when she quit karate after returning to it, but also goes back to a point she made in Part 1 when she wanted to compete to have closure. And now she doesn't know why she's competing. So once again, Sam is put in a situation where she doesn't even know if she wants to fight. That could even explain what happens with Sam and Tori during the semis. If she decides not to compete, then it clearly means Tori will advance to the finals, especially because they're shaping up this rivalry with Tori and set that up in Part 2. That being her rivalry with Zara Malik of the Iron Dragons, as she's the reigning champion in the girls division of the Sekai Takai. And I also think if Sam ends up bowing out of the semi-finals, it does parallel the moment that Tori does this in Season 5 to avoid fighting Sam, and in turn that did help them win to compete for the Sekai Takai, as they needed to defeat Cobra Kai or to even get a spot in the Sekai Takai. Even though they still did, Tori did that for her, so maybe Sam will do the same, especially the relationship they've made with those two and how they've reconciled and apologized to each other in Part 1. And I think Sam and Tori working together in this sort of indirect way to stop Zara, in a similar way to how I theorize Miguel and Robbie facing Axel together, is going to make a lot of sense, especially how ferocious those foes are. To Sam, Daniel saying, I wish I had the answers for you, kiddo, but I don't know. Honestly, could be a conversation about what Sam does with this situation with Tori, because maybe she doesn't want to fight Tori because of the circumstances, and also at the same time she wants closure. But does that mean it will reduce the chances of Tori going all the way, because she really needs that to live a better life, because winning to her would actually mean a lot more to even Sam winning. But also Miyagi-Do are in the tournament and they need to stop the Iron Dragon, and that's the main objective, and that's the reason why they're in the tournament in the first place. It was to really stop Silver, and even though he is no longer with Cobra Kai, he took that with the Iron Dragon. So that could be one of the conversations, but I also think Sam is just really muddled up on what to do. With the consequences of Kwon's death, everyone is probably going crazy about what they're even going to do, if they want to compete or agree to even continuing this tournament, but clearly everyone gets on the same page for it. And speaking over turning a new leaf, Terry Silver seen with Wolf and Axel training him for his upcoming match, as he looks quite distraught, and Wolf saying that they should fear you, and if they don't, then make them. Zara looks over. She's probably never seen Axel like this before, but also it could be from another scene and they're just watching Axel. I think it would be good to actually get development on both of them, considering they both are reigning champs, and also what is their dynamic like outside of all the tournament. Axel looks quite determined as he trains with Terry Silver, breaks a part of a bamboo stick or some wood. Looks like it was already nearly broken, but Axel is training very, very hard. I noticed in this scene, who Axel is training with isn't Wolf, but it could be Silver. And I know in the other shot, he basically had a sleeveless training shirt on. But I think maybe Silver is him, the silver bullet here, especially what we see in a later shot. But I honestly think he's teaching this to Axel to give him a little bit more of an edge again, as he may have lost it after what happened with Kwon. And I can totally imagine Silver manipulating him and making him push this, and also using a move. If it's not specifically the silver bullet, then maybe it's a new technique that Terry Silver is going to teach Axel. Perhaps Wolf even gives him another technique if it's not from Silver. But in this scene, it definitely looks like he's training with him. With the preparation of Wolf and Silver, the way Wolf is talking to him, as we see Miguel and Robbie talking about the upcoming fight with Axel, it looks like Axel might be very shaken up with what happened at the end of part 2. And I definitely think it's going to play a toll on his conscience, and also explains why Robbie is doing so well in the bits of footage we've seen from the fight. And I think it's pretty cool seeing the Iron Dragons training in the valley. I'm guessing Terry Silver may have got the spot where he opened up the old Cobra Kai dojo location again from season 4, which he surprised John Kreese with, and also the second surprise with Johnny Lawrence. I definitely think that might be where the Iron Dragons are located, and I can imagine Johnny, Daniel, Chosen, and even Kreese seeing this and really frowning on that, and really remembering that they need to win this at all costs. Miguel and Robbie have made it very clear that this is going to be a very difficult fight, but Robbie doesn't sound so encouraged when Miguel says he can beat Axel, because he put everything in last time. And even though he might be saying that here, I definitely think Miguel will be a lot of his strength in his mind by pushing him and helping him get over this challenge. As we've seen that in part 2, he was making it very clear to Robbie he is the natural leader and he just needs to lead and they will follow. In this case, he needs to just follow himself and lead and take Miyagi-Do to the finals. Axel is definitely shaken up, but I think once Terry Silver and Sensei Wolf ingrain more of that no mercy type of mentality, which we've seen with really toxic Cobra Kai, I think it's going to be very worrying, especially what comes after this moment. Because we see Miguel running over on the mat and we see Chosen stops him, which makes me think it's Robbie. I see a parallel with this moment from the exact same moment when Axel threw Robbie into Kwon, which also initiated the brawl before Sensei Ivanov punches Gunther. And I think it's definitely worse than that moment, especially because Miguel looks way more concerned. He was the first one to literally go on the mat to say hey after seeing what Axel did, and that obviously was because he was defending Robbie. I do love those bro moments they've been showing us, and that definitely shows their development. as brothers. Could this be a very serious situation with Robbie? The fact that Chosen had to stop Miguel, perhaps Johnny and Daniel are already there as this situation occurred. It's nothing to do with Sam, as Sam is behind Miguel and Robbie is not in shot. So we're assuming it's still the Axel Robbie fight, but because this proceeded after that part of the scene where they showed Miguel talking to Robbie about fighting Axel, I'm now a little concerned. This fight will definitely be epic, but is it going to end how we think it is going to end, with Robbie winning, or is Axel going to prevail and cheat? Because he might need to do that to get his edge back and to keep the Iron Dragons in this tournament. I really do love this quote by Johnny saying how they need to show these assholes how they do things in the valley.
Show these assholes how we do things in the valley.
How we do things in the valley, because the Iron Dragons have never been to the valley. They've never participated in all valleys. They don't know how important it is to the valley when there is karate involved. And I think it's again that underdog story, because they're coming here as the reigning champs, whereas Miyagi-Do are the underdogs, as this is their first international tournament and one of the biggest they will ever be participating in. I also believe that because of this, it's going to get even more tense. Johnny's quote might be talking to Robbie right before they kick off the semis, or it could just be talking to Sam and Robbie in particular, as they are the captains leading Miyagi-Do into the semifinals once again, which is very important. I really do like how there's so much support for Robbie in this fight, and he's clearly got the home advantage here, and the Valley are really supporting Miyagi-Do, and you could probably see that's another thing that's adding to Axel's lack of confidence. Until he gets an edge, I think this is when he's going to use a certain move learned by Silver or Wolf against Robbie potentially, because if Robbie ends up overcoming this fight, then the Iron Dragons have really got less of a chance, especially if Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do with Tori and Sam competing also go through. If you look in the back, there's a board that says "Marry Me Robbie," which is really funny. One that says "Sakai Takai in the Valley." I think there's some others that might support Axel, but they're all mainly in support of Robbie, essentially, as he is part of the home crowd. You really have to give Amanda a lot of respect here for showing all this support for Robbie, and her showing support for other kids that aren't even hers has been one of the best things about Amanda. Look at the growth she's had with Tori, and not just trying to resolve things with her daughter Sam to help her with the situation with Tori, and also how she supported Robbie when he's needed a lot of support. I think she's been one of the best characters in that way, so I have to give a massive shout out to her. And this energy here is actually the same as Xander Stone's mum in the first All Valley tournament, when she was really supporting Xander as the champ of the All Valley. But of course he ended up losing. But this is amazing to see Amanda having a little Miyagi-Do influence with the Miyagi-Do headband. I don't know if Daniel gave her his own one or another one, and her with the Miyagi tree on her left cheek, and on her right cheek the eagle with the sunrise. I think that's really cool what they did. Considering everything that's happened all in Cobra Kai series, and Amanda has had a whole different stance on karate, and how she's now just fully embracing it in the last season to support the Miyagi-Do dojo for the Sakai Takai, is actually quite a funny arc in itself. And we know that it's kind of crazy that she knows Kwon had passed away, and you'd think they would never go near the tournament after that. But clearly something pushed her in order to get these kids motivated and also participating again, because it clearly means a lot to their futures. But I'm sure Courtney had a lot of fun with that, and it's great to see Shannon is also there with Amanda, because they're both there really supporting Robbie, and it also shows the growth that Shannon's had in the show to be a better mother and to leave the dark past that she's also had. Now, we know Sam's in a place where she needs that support too, but obviously with the situation with Tori and the rivalry that they've shown with Zara and her, it's going to be shaping up to be a very interesting rivalry, especially what we see with this new scene after the Miguel Axel scene. And it looks like not only what we saw in part 2 was a big rivalry being set up, but Zara facing Tori here actually revealed something huge. If you look to the left of Tori's hair, and her headband and the collar, with her headband, her hair not only looks different as she's got some bangs on the side, it looks like she's wearing a different gi that doesn't resemble the Korean Cobra Kai one. In fact, the collar actually looks very much like Johnny's Cobra Kai gi, and this is something that she wore back in season 4 when she was still with Cobra Kai. Kreese had taken over and brought in Silver, but it looks very much like that collar, and there's a tinge of the Cobra Kai color which is very reminiscent of Johnny's Cobra Kai. Why does the gi look different from the Korean Cobra Kai gi? The way the seam runs on the neck and the collar does not look like a Korean Cobra Kai gi because it doesn't rest like that. And the color, there's none on the gis with the Korean Cobra Kai colors because it's just black. It's definitely teasing that Cobra Kai is going to change in some way because it clearly looks like a different gi, and her hairstyle also looks different, which could reflect that change as well. But let's see what happens. But it gets crazier because there's something else in this footage of the trailer that supports this. I think this rivalry with Zara and Tori is very clear, and I think they are making them have a matchup in the final. But we're going to have to see what happens with Sam and Tori. I absolutely love more of this trailer as we see more of You're the Best Around, which hasn't been played for a very long time, since probably the first reveal of season 3 when Daniel went to Okinawa. And I think that's the last time I remember hearing the song actually being played in trailers, or at least since the first movie came out. I absolutely love this scene with Miguel and Johnny. There was an image that they released not that long ago of this scene, but we get a little bit of it. Johnny looks very happy, and it could be that Miguel is telling him something positive, perhaps how that first conversation they had outside of the dojo when they were sat in the same bit was reminiscing on that moment, and just maybe how Miguel is so grateful that Johnny came into his life. Maybe Miguel makes a joke to Johnny, or they really do hope that they win the Sekai Takai. This is probably before the tournament wraps up, unless it's after. We'll have to find that out. Now, we can clearly see that it says Space Police, so the old Cobra Kai dojo location that Johnny opened is shut down. But what if they reopen it and maybe they train there for the Sekai Takai now they're back in the valley? But I know they've been training a lot at Miyagi-Do, but perhaps this is just another hint at Johnny's Cobra Kai returning, or at least they just go to this space to clear their head and they see that it says Space Police, so maybe they do bring that dojo back. And then we see a bunch of snippets of other clips which we'll quickly break down. But before we get to those, I need to talk about this scene with Terry Silver looking at himself in the mirror. It's giving off very Jekyll and Hyde energy, or perhaps...
Imagine if he joined us.
He's really thinking about how this is his last stand with winning this tournament with the Iron Dragons. Because according to Thomas Ian Griffith, who plays Terry Silver is dying of an illness. And this could be the moment he thinks that if he doesn't achieve this, then he has no legacy. And we know he talked a lot about legacy in season 5. So this is definitely as important as it is for him, because he wants to secure his legacy and have that go worldwide. Daniel and Johnny doing the crane kick together at the beach is such an iconic moment. Who would have thought that we would have seen this during the OG Karate Kid film or even throughout Cobra Kai? It's such an awesome moment, and we know we got that still not that long ago from this exact moment as well, which is definitely going to be part of episode 12. It's really hard to tell what's going on in this scene, but Dimitri and Eli clearly having a Binary Brothers moment. It's just great to see that they're having fun together and just being good friends, and perhaps they're setting up some sort of YouTube channel or something to do with the Binary Brothers brotherhood they have. Maybe it's a celebration of them going to college. I also noticed the clothes that Jacob and Gianni are wearing for their characters was also in a video of the Miyagi-Do tour during a behind-the-scenes Sony Pictures video, and I think this has got to be the same episode as the saw there, because this, based on the setting, it definitely is Miyagi-Do. Well, we know Johnny and Daniel literally have been like a married couple with their feud, but it's been really awesome to see Johnny's relationship with Carmen grow from strength to strength each season, with the baby on the way and very likely to be born towards the end of part 3. I can't wait to see him actually propose to Carmen with this. Another huge tease of seeing Daniel in Cobra Kai once again. Maybe he gives the money to Johnny to reopening Cobra Kai, because if you look behind Daniel, you can see the red and the black lines that were in Johnny's dojo when he once had the dojo, and it looks very clear. Maybe Daniel helped Johnny get the dojo back, or this is part of a bigger plan to stop the Iron Dragons. And we also see the Cobra Kai patch that also indicates Johnny's Cobra Kai logo and dojo once again. Daniel seems quite happy with being in this dojo, so it has to be something to do with Johnny. I can also see this being a completely nuclear option inspired by Amanda, especially if she thinks it's going to double the odds on them winning the Sekai Takai, or at least it's a backup if things don't go well with Miyagi-Do. No matter what, the fact that Daniel is smiling in this scene, if that is exactly with Johnny, is very, very interesting indeed. I think it's really cool that Sam and Tori are sparring together. Either this is preparation for their semi-final fight together. Why would they be training together if they're going to fight each other? Perhaps they just want to enjoy the moment rather than actually worry about the fight. And maybe what they want to do is really get over what happened in the past. I mean, they kind of have already, but maybe this in a tournament setting really does put all the bad behind them. And I definitely think it's another moment. And even if it's not specifically about their fight, it could be that after Sam and Tori's fight occurs, no matter how that ends, they are helping one or the other to face Zara. So I can totally see that happening. They did release a still of this as well, so this is the official still from this footage, and I really think it's cool seeing them train together. It's kind of hard to say what's exactly happening here when Gunther of the Sekai Takai board kicks Daryl of the All Valley Sports board, but maybe he took a plea or even took some money from Silver and was bribed by him, and maybe Gunther finds this out. Could be something like that, or maybe there's some other things that Gunther had issues with Daryl. It's awesome to see one of Johnny's OG Cobra friends returns as Ron Thomas, who plays Bobby from the original Karate Kid film and also in Cobra Kai seasons 2 and 3, returns for the final part of Cobra Kai. We know it's so sad that Chad McQueen was almost in part 3, but as he sadly couldn't do the schedules, is honestly so sad, and he was the one OG Cobra we really needed to see return, and that still hadn't yet. But it's a shame that Chad isn't going to be in part 3. Rest in peace to him. And I really can't wait to see Bobby's return. And I really do hope we do see a scene with Bobby apologizing to Daniel for the events in the first Karate Kid film, and actually having a conversation with Kreese, and Kreese even apologizing to him for making him do what he did to Daniel in the first film. That would bring everything full circle for those characters. Seeing Johnny sat with Daniel in Miyagi's Forward is honestly one of the coolest full circles in this show. And I definitely think this is still part of episode 12, William Zabka's episode that he's directing. And to see Johnny and Daniel with their Rocky 2 moment running in the streets of the valley is honestly so awesome, very inspiring, and there was so many publicity stills of this as they filmed this scene back in June 2024. I'm curious if this has anything to do with helping the Sekai Takai come back, or at least they are rallying everybody and it's given them a lot of attention since the Sekai Takai has come to the valley, and maybe so many kids have been inspired by karate, especially from those two. No matter what, I'm excited to see it. So guys, that is the breakdown. Hopefully I put so much heart and soul into this. It really did take a while to edit, but I'm so happy to edit every little thing that I found. And if there's anything else that you saw, let me know in the comments down below. Then hit the like button and subscribe now to Cobra Kai Nation for all your part 3 content and Karate Kid Legends and loads of other great bits of content coming out before the show ends and after part 3 is out. I'll see you in the next one.
Forever Cobra Kai Nation.
If you thought blah 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 was blah blah blah,